What the heck is going on with these switches? Might be worth checking that works. We're going to make this look very nice. The world's fastest scaffolding teardown is just doing my head in.
I'm just here for the cinematography at the minute.
What the heck does that mean? You got to admit, it's pretty cool. Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Artisan Electrics, where we are back at the barn, carrying on some works from what you would have seen in part 3. Today is our final day of first fixing things, so I'm hoping we'll have all the power first fixed and even some of it switched on. All the lighting hopefully we'll get on today. We're going to be using the Quinetic switches. So they are wireless switches which work on kinetic energy. So I'll show you how they work, I'll show you how we program them, and we'll get them up and running. Right, so I'm going to send Reuben to go do a job on his own because I think it's important that he starts doing that more. So I'm going to give him these test leads just to make sure it's proven dead, and I'm not going to go and micromanage him. I'm going to leave him to it. So I'm going to show him, I'll show you me showing him, and then you can watch him prove dead and make sure he's doing it properly. So you see on these testers, they've got these little sleeves, and that's just to help with GS38, what we was talking about. But if you just bring them back and spin them slightly, you see they leave it exposed. Right. Makes it a bit easier sometimes when you want to get on terminals and make sure you're definitely making a good connection. If you don't have to do that, you can just push in. So what I want to do is I want to confirm they work. So I've got my proving unit. Yep, it's working. And then I would test all the different combinations. So live to neutral, neutral to earth, live to earth. Make sure that it's definitely dead, and then make sure this is still working. It's not broken by some miracle in the time it took for me to do that test. And it still works. Cool. Then you've proven it dead. You're making sure there's no damage on the wire, no, your finger guards and everything are all still intact. It's all good. And that's it. You are safe to work. Obviously, we've already switched off the circuit, already identified it and locked it off. So that is yours. Might be worth checking that works. That is yours. Is there locks in the back of it? Actually, we should put some locks in that back pouch. Right. I'll leave you to get on with it. I'm going to get on with my jobs in here. Cool. Can't really mount that one yet, so I'll leave that off. I'll come check your skyrocket. Yeah, nice job. Screw that up. Some pliers or whatever. Bit of conduit there. Find it above here. You might have to take that wall plate off again to get your arm down there. I'm not sure. Actually, no, I think it comes out just behind this beam here. But whatever, it's yours to figure out, and then get a cable down there. Okay, so the drum's just down here. So these are the receivers that we're using. So these are smart controllers, basically just a wireless smart relay. And these are always looking for this little RF signal that these give off. When you click these, there's no batteries in them or anything. When you click them, the kinetic energy of you clicking it is enough to send out a little RF signal to tell this to either open or close. I think they have something like 100,000 clicks on them, or 999,998 in this case. And they literally fit on these grids. So basically the electricians, when they wired this originally, they never ran in the 3-core for this. It was forgotten to make this an intermediate. If you watch part 1, you'll see me going through the dilemma of how I was going to fix it. However, I'm going to make things even easier. Just going to get this, click it in there, and the other one. See, this is a normal intermediate switch. It's got all the bits and pieces on the back. This has got nothing on the back. So we just click that in there, and that's it, done. Simple as that, which is pretty amazing. So when we put all the programs up, all the receivers up, I just have to come here, program them, and we're good to go.
If it's all the way up yet, to be honest.
No, I don't think it is all the way up. I think you might be better off with a rod or a tongue.
Yeah, I think it's just off to the right.
This thing is actually great. This is a really nice fish tape, I've got to say. Credit where it is due. I'm not always the biggest CK fan. I do like this. Oh, I do like the pants they make. Very comfortable underwear. Okie dokie. So, got one of these intermediate switches. You know what? It's actually been ages since I did an intermediate switch. I think that's the in and that's the out. We'll just try both ways round and see if it works. That's like a true professional. Trial and error. So the way an intermediate switch works is, what's cool is you can have as many of them as you want in a circuit. When you've got a two-way, you're basically just breaking into that two-way. So on a wiring diagram, you'd have your common, L1, L2, L1, L2, and then an intermediate is just 2 points, well 4 points on that circuit. There's a little X. So you'd have your browns, I believe it would be browns. Just stick it, I'm just doing it temporarily, just to see if this is definitely the switch, because we're changing this around a lot and nothing's labelled. But I'm going to label them when we find it, and when it's done, we're going to make this look very nice. I believe you'd have your 2 in on the top half. Oh, actually no, it wants to be 2 and 2. I thought it was in and then out, but it's not. So we've got L2 there. These terminals are a bit rubbish. There we go. I've just reused this switch from the other side of the wall, because this was a single box with a switch on it, but obviously we're adding the 2 Quinetic switches, so we need it to be in a grid now. And then so L2 there, L2 on the top. I used to be so bad doing these switch wirings. I remember I used to ring up Johnny No Neck, because again I didn't do loads of it. I'm going back to when I was like 17, 18, but I used to always ring up Johnny No Neck. Right, Johnny, I've got a load of intermediate switches. Which one do I put it in again? You should have no shame whatsoever in that, because it's impossible to know everything, and it's the only way you learn, and you do it enough times and you just remember. And the thing that I find helped with learning lighting wiring was just actually looking up diagrams and drawing them out and practicing drawing them. And then when you get used to it, it just all sort of clicks and makes sense, and you don't really have to think about it anymore. Right, so I think that now should be right. So I've got my in going into L1 and L1, and then we've got our out going L2 and L2, and both the same. And then our commons we've got just in a connector block. So I'll switch that on. If you get the cable tongue, attach it to this wire, pull this wire out, then the cable tongue will be all the way through.
Right.
And then attach both new wires to this. In fact, I'll do it to make sure they're definitely dead flat, and then we'll pull the cable tongue back down and it should come out all right. Like that. And then when you're pulling them back down, bear in mind you want them to both come flat next to each other. You don't want them on top of each other, otherwise you never get it through. Yeah. So, you know, wrapping it round and doing it, just remember it's a narrow oval conduit, so you don't want them all bunched up. Okay mate, change of tact. Come down. Where's my hammer? I'm just giving it a gentle knock, because it's a thinner layer of plaster around the capping. I kinda completely forgot that the scaffolding was being off-hired today. So, thought the guys just come round to collect it. I was like, oh yeah, it's just round the back. But yeah, I completely forgot. I'm just doing the world's fastest scaffolding teardown. There we go. This is a really nice oak door frame that I don't fancy catching. That's all of it. I'm every woman, it's all in me. Do you mind? What I'm trying to do is figure out what the heck is going on with these switches, because I took them all apart with the presumption that it was just a normal switch that made perfect sense. But how wrong I was. You've got intermediate switching where the feed is in the middle. So basically they can't have worked right. Like if you flick one off, then that's not going to flick off elsewhere, etc. I'm undoing it anyway because I'm changing its kinetics. However, I want to know what does what and why before I can change it over properly. But it's just doing my head in a little bit. There's definitely a junction box somewhere with all of this mess in it. But until I find that, it's just all head scratching. I think it is going to have to... It is going into the loft, isn't it? There's a junction box with all these black cables going to it. What we need to do is find the feed. We need to break that feed. And once we break that, we can then put a Quinetic in line with it and disconnect this mess of switches because it's just doing my head in.
I've gifted Reuben the Breaking Bad suit. I've not got one spare now, so it is so hot up there, but unfortunately we have got to just make do, and I don't want to have bare skin, so I'm just going to wear my coat and sweat it out. So he's just following the Copex now, this metal Copex that's already installed by other people, to see if he can find the junction boxes. And if I can just stay here without having to move all the way down the loft, then that would be great. I'm just here for the cinematography at the minute. This is your captain speaking.
I tell you what, the way they've done this is really weird. There's a loop here and starts running back.
Right.
It doesn't stop.
Okay.
But there's a few more that go all the way down to the end.
I don't think it will go all the way to the end though. Okay, so Reuben, if you hold up that receiver,
Yeah.
the box labelled Quinetic receiver,
Yeah.
hold down the little button on it for 3 seconds.
Right.
Until it flashes red.
Yep.
Yeah, now I'll get my switch. And press it. Can you hear it clicking?
Yep.
Okay, lovely. Now I'll go downstairs. Like magic. They're all coming on. And that can be placed literally anywhere.
They'll be waking up soon as well, I reckon.
Yeah. In my head, I was like, if I see one flying about, I am peace in the scene.
You are what?
Peace in the scene.
What the heck does that mean?
Just leaving.
Peace in the scene. There's loads of them. Reuben's gone and woken them up. Reuben! At least that'll be one set of lights done, you know. You got to admit, it's pretty cool. When you look at that grid switch, you'd think that they're both exactly the same, but actually the right-hand side one, the outside light, is wired. That is just a clicky light for those up there, and that signal is going all the way over there. I don't know, I just think they're brilliant. I think anyone that doesn't like them hasn't tried them yet. I reckon this is the box here, you know. I reckon we could be onto something here. Oh, mate, this job is absolutely nuts. Got my touch tester. Bet you do. I bet it's down there, isn't it?
It is.
You don't. Oh, you are a sausage sometimes. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something, right? You are such a sausage. You don't even know he's a sausage, but he is. Brown and blue. Separate them. Together. Do a little song. Cool. Right, that's it figured out. So they've used a 3-core. That one there, pop, does the spots. Whilst this one here, boop, does the LED tape. So, beautiful. What's even more beautiful, as John would say, that box is ideal to put the Quinetic switches in. So we'll just do them all on Quinetic, and then he can have as many switches as he wants. It just makes more sense. Make sure everything else all still works as it should, which apparently it is, no problem. And we'll just Quinetic that bad boy. Cool. had no chance, mate. Every time it went up, it was catching on that. Oh, well, I reckon you'll be able to pull the others down easily now. I'll cut it off here because you won't even need that. We'll just keep that one pulled through. Drop the extra wire.
I mean,
Just poke it up even, yeah. All right, cool. I love this stuff so much, it's even earned its own little drawer in my van racking. Quinetic stuff, or kinetic stuff with a stupid spelling, but I might need another receiver. These ones are Wi-Fi receivers as well, so you can actually pair them up to things if you would like. I love a good high quality ferrule. So I want some 1.5mm, which is, haven't got a clue what one, I think black, 1.5mm. Knipex, or Wildmuller, whatever you call it. I'm not a fan of cheap ferrules, you know. I actually think it's almost counterintuitive when you start using really cheap ferrules. This box here, I've got filled up with the old ferrules, but they're singles, and I want to make them doubles. So these two here, I think, are the two circuits for the spots. You can cram them in, like when you're really desperate, you can cram two sets of cables into a bootlace ferrule, but it's just wrong. Really, you want to use the proper double ferrules for it. This is going to be, I've just labelled this up. It's going to be our little Quinetic box. So all the receivers and that, all the connections come to here. So we're eliminating all of the switches and things, just makes it a whole lot simpler. Right, so I've now programmed this to that Quinetic receiver in there. So I'll just show you. I would like to fix it back, but it's a bit too tight a space to get a bigger box. So that's kind of just how it is now. I've left the little receivers just out a little stuffing land on the left-hand side. That lid will go on there, and that will be nice and neat. I know we've got single insulated cable, but it is inside a tooled enclosure, and it's not really reasonable to rewire all of this to get the secondary insulation in there. So I've got this one here, which is doing that receiver, which is doing the LED tapes outside. So just to make it clear for whoever comes and works on this, I've labelled this switch on the side here. Whenever they take off the grid receiver, they can see, that's doing the LED tape. And then we'll label that receiver the same. Stick that on there, and print it off 25mm, and then it fits in there, a treat. So now I'll go get another switch. Reuben, can you throw me up another switch, please? When I say I'm going to go and get another switch, obviously that's a figure of speech. For Reuben's going to throw me another one up through the little barn door. That's all done. So I'll close that up for now. And we've got our two switches, LED tape and our spots. So that's ready to go now. Wagoboxes, they've got the MF logo, but when you actually look at the instruction manual for them, they're only considered MF if it's tooled. So to make it a tooled enclosure, put a cable tie through it, and then you have to have a tool to cut that cable tie, so then it is then considered maintenance free. So it's a handy little tip, and also where you can, it's not always practical, but where you can, try and screw it to something solid as well. Sweet, so we're done for the day now. So I've got all of these switches connected up, doing all their various bits and pieces. Connected up out here as well, controlling these lights and the LED tapes and things. We've got some of the first fix ready. This wall here is all being knocked about, so I've just left it hanging, but when it's ready that will come out and across. We've just kind of run out of time now. We've got this switch here ready to go. That's also controlling those. Again, it's all Quinetic, so There's no danger of leaving it for plastering and stuff, no wires. I really want to come back. Well, we've got 4 more days allowed here, which is plenty for second fix and everything. I don't even think, well, hopefully we might not even need that, but I don't want to speak too soon. And then I want to start addressing all of this because I've not gone into any of that yet. This is all left from the builders or the electricians that were here previously. I just want to tidy it up a little bit really. I don't want to leave it dangling in the wall, even if we can just fit a tiny bit of basket along there. I still think we could get that done in the time. Maybe some 50mm basket and then just set it along and up, and we could just zip tile the cables into that even. Just something to tidy it up a little bit. Although if we do that, we then need to think about getting an earth back for that basket. Maybe we could bond it onto the steel work or something. We've got a lot to do still, but we've got an awful lot more done, so I'm pretty happy with that. Hopefully it's been entertaining, educational, something useful for you in there somewhere, and I'll see you on the next one.